go over the webinar platform. I'll let you guys know a few things that are important. We will have a presentation from AB Tech and Blue Ridge Food Ventures. We will talk a little bit about trends in incubator kitchen businesses with Eric Hallman from PFAP. We will not, unfortunately, be joined today by James Sprunt and Eastern Carolina. They were unable to make the webinar due to a last-minute medical emergency. But we will do questions and answers at the end, and we'll take questions throughout the session in the chat box that you'll see on your right-hand side. So the platform we're using is GoToWebinar. If you're not familiar with it, I'm going to give you just a couple of housekeeping tips really quickly. You're automatically muted, so you don't have access to use your voice capabilities, but you can interact with us. There's a little hand symbol next to your name under the Attendees tab. You can raise your hand, or you can put a chat in the chat box over here. On the right, you can send a message to the entire audience, or you can send a message to the organizers if you are having trouble figuring out who to contact or how to send a message. Your chat box questions will be kept until the end. If folks can answer them during their presentations, they will do their best to get to them. We're going to have this up on YouTube when we're done. I will share that link out with you guys. After the end of the webinar, you'll also receive the PDF version. And if you're interested in downloading the PDF right now, you can do that over on your right-hand side. There's a handouts link, and there's a PDF file right there. You can download that and click through to some of the links that are being referred to you as we go along if you would like to. A little bit about NC Growing Together. We are a USDA-funded project over 5 years at the Center for Environmental Farming Systems, which is a project of NC State, NCA&T, and the North Carolina Department of Ag. We focus on farmer capacity, supply chain expansion, processor capacity, and then supportive business environments. So this is part of our supportive business environments series. We work to connect producers and people along the food supply chain with local resources such as small business centers and local governments to sort of help these farmers get the access that they need in their communities so they can move into wholesale markets, which is what we work on. I wanted to give you guys just a little overview of what we're talking about today. This is from the statewide infrastructure map that NC Growing Together maintains. You can click through on this link to see that online if you would like. Basically, it contains a downloadable set of data and a map for several different types of infrastructure across the state, including kitchen incubators, also including things like cold storage, distribution points, food hubs, multifamily CSAs, etc. This is a map of right now all of the kitchen incubators that we have listed on there. We are in the process of updating this map, and we'll be actually hosting it with the Piedmont Triad Regional Council in a GIS form beginning next month. So watch for that press release to come out, and you'll be able to do a lot more with it once that update is complete. All right, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to send me a message. I am going to turn things over to Duane Adams first. He is the Assistant Director of the AB Tech Community College Small Business Center, and I'm going to pass things over to him now. All right, Duane, we see you now, but we can't hear you. Can you unmute?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. You are all set.
All right, great. Well, thank you, Emily, and good morning to all of our listeners. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today. I am Duane Adams, the Associate Director of the Small Business Center at Asheville Buffalo Technical Community College here in Asheville, North Carolina. So let's see if I can start clicking through the presentation. Here we go. Okay. And for those of you who may not be aware of the Small Business Center, I'm going to give you a brief, quick overview, if you will. So the Small Business Center Network is actually the most expansive statewide entrepreneurial assistance system in the United States. The community college-based system was actually started in 1984 by the North Carolina General Assembly with the goal of providing resources to small business owners and entrepreneurs. The network provides a number of no-cost services in the form of confidential counseling, seminars, high-quality, readily accessible training, and there are actually a total of 58 small business centers in the state of North Carolina. So with the next slide, you'll see that we have, give you a little bit of a bird's eye view of our facilities here at the AB Tech Enka site. And this facility is full of all kinds of great initiatives that are geared towards business development that I'll speak about briefly a little bit later on. Just to give a little bit of history, the AB Tech Enka site was formerly a Dutch textile manufacturing company that was housed on 45 acres. It was donated to the college in the year 2000, and at the time was the largest public donation to a community college. When the property was donated to the college, it was under the contingency that it would be used as a physical site for economic development. Hence the reason why we have a number of great resources in one building. Until about 2 years ago, this site was also inclusive of our continuing education workforce development program, which is now housed on the college's main campus at 340 Victoria Road. So we just talked a little bit about the vision. So let's talk about the goal, which is to create a one-stop type facility for those who want to start or grow a business. This also allows us the opportunity to be of great benefit to the entrepreneur as we leverage our synergies of multiple entities for economic development. When we do this, it is with the understanding that entrepreneurs can cultivate, discuss, and collaborate on ideas. So this slide shows a little bit of just a snippet of all the folks who are here. This is a listing of all the service providers actually that we have under one roof. As you can see, it's quite a diverse group that's even including a curriculum program of the college, the Craft Beverage Institute. It also includes a federal agency, the Small Business Administration, and a CDFI, the Carolina Small Business Development Fund. And of course, we have our friends at Blue Ridge Food Ventures, who we'll hear from in just a bit. So another thing that I think is important for folks to know is that the Small Business Center serves as the first point of contact for anyone looking to start or grow a business. And we're typically the front door for those looking to tap into other resources. For example, we have the Incubator, which was listed in the previous slide. The Incubator is not part of the Small Business Center, but all of our incubation participants start out as SBC clients or Small Business Center clients. One of our main jobs at the Small Business Center is making a point to lead clients in the right direction when they are looking to tap into resources, because with there being so many, it can be quite confusing. A lot of our food artisans are steered towards Blue Ridge Food Ventures if they haven't already been there by the time they get to us. So looking at the business incubation program, so just to elaborate a little bit more about what this is, about 5% of Small Business Center clients become incubation participants. There's a formal application process prior to entry. If a client is accepted, they sign an initial 12-month lease that will be renewed or can be renewed up to 3 times. We have office, lab, and warehouse space available. We've had a number of food producers over the years who have tapped into incubation, including Roots Hummus, and we're going to have another food producer coming into the facility soon. Another great initiative that we have is the Embedded Entrepreneur Program, which is ran by Steve Poland. The college, AB Tech, actually provided grants to the Business Incubator to create this program. This program is not supported by the Small Business Center, but it was done as part of an effort to provide more of a mentoring style of training to a select handful of business incubation participants. We do have a current Blue Ridge Food Ventures client participating in this program, and they will be applying for incubation next month. So Also in that group, this group of wonderful service providers, we have the North Carolina BioNetwork. And they've been involved in a lot of the collaboration with food artisans. They're a program of the North Carolina Community College System as well. And they are specifically in place to bridge education, industry training, and outreach to support North Carolina's biotech and life sciences. They provide a number of trainings to assist food businesses, including craft beer laboratory skills 1 and 2, and fundamentals of food safety. You can also see here that the North Carolina BioNetwork also offers testing and equipment rentals through their natural products lab for those who show competency in using them. There's also a test kitchen for those who may be working on product formulation with food and beverages. Typically, these clients aren't quite ready for Blue Ridge Food Ventures just yet, but they're getting there. And the next slide is kind of just a visual of what I talked about earlier. This is a sample graphic of how a food entrepreneur will probably travel through our facility. As I stated earlier, ideally we like clients to start with the small business center, which is located in the top right of the screen. And then, but we also may have some clients who come in the separate front door, which could be Blue Ridge Food Ventures or BioNetwork, which is in the far right of the screen. As the client comes in through the small business center, if we see the need, we'll tell them about Blue Ridge Food Ventures or the BioNetwork lab. We may take them over for a visit, and then the client will begin working with us on his or her business model. Basically trying to figure out a way to deliver their product or service to the end user. That client is then encouraged to continue that relationship with Blue Ridge Food Ventures and or the BioNetwork, and hopefully they're going to work intuitively to do that, and then the client will eventually begin product development or production at that point once they're prepped and vetted and we see the need to do so. So, talk about the Blue Ridge Food Ventures client. This slide basically reiterates what I was saying earlier about the SBC and Blue Ridge Food Ventures having separate front doors. All Blue Ridge Food Ventures clients may not be small business center clients, but all incubation clients are. So those who are accepted into the incubation program are those who we feel can honestly benefit from being physically here in the facility. And those benefits include more than just physical space. The clients have access to all services of the small business center. They have access to Wi-Fi, conference and training rooms within the buildings. They interact with other entrepreneurs participating in incubation. So we have a number of different industries that are represented, which gives us a very diverse group of folks that can give a lot of different ideas coming from different perspectives. And then we also have a monthly business incubation speaker series and other trainings that they have to be available for, which also includes a quarterly financial review for the business. So some of the examples of collaboration, again, that we've been talking about, just to kind of give a little bit more detail. So the Small Business Center actually offers over 100 seminars a year, and we have collaborated with a number of agencies within our building and within the community on delivering those. We collaborated with the North Carolina BioNetwork and Blue Ridge Food Ventures on several, as you can see on the slide, how to start a food business, bookkeeping for your natural products business, how to start a food truck business, boot camp for food, craft, beverage, and natural products. So the Small Business Center will typically pay the instructor to facilitate the seminars out of our budget so they can be offered at no cost to the participants. So pretty much everything we do that's Small Business Center related is free. It's a free program or service to those in the community. So to give a little bit more of an example of collaborations, as I mentioned prior, the Carolina Small Business Development Fund is also located in our facility, and this includes the Western Women's Business Center, which is an initiative of the Carolina Small Business Development Fund. So having a lender as part of the fold has helped tremendously in working with clients who need capital. And physical proximity matters. So as you probably already determined that it does matter, it's not just for entrepreneurs, but service providers also benefit from being physically close to each other. So we have multiple entities in the building. We're able to develop relationships. We're able to develop a better understanding of what each of us has to offer our clients, which helps us increase the quality of our referrals. We have a number of opportunities for joint programming, being all under one roof. And it's also, it's convenient for the entrepreneur as he or she feels comfortable knowing that those helping have a relationship. And we like to call it wraparound care is what we provide, which helps to, again, cultivate and encourage entrepreneurs to continue to move forward. So we also work with a number of wonderful community partners who are not physically in our building, so I would be remiss if I don't mention those, but I would like to mention our sister agency, the Small Business and Technology Development Center, Mountain BizWorks, which is another CFI in the area, the Self-Help Credit Union, Venture Asheville, which is a chamber initiative geared towards high growth businesses, Asheville SCORE, which is very involved. Asheville SCORE actually helps us facilitate about a third of our seminars a year, so we collaborate on those, and the North Carolina Military Business Center is also a partner. This slide is a snapshot of just a few of the incubation participants that we have here who are currently active. And here are some of our successful graduates, if you will. So Smiling Hair Tempeh is one that we partner with Blue Ridge Food Ventures on. Jack's Nut Butters. AVO Technologies is actually one that it was our first incubation graduate. They graduated from the incubation program before we even came here in the year 2000. They were incubated back, I believe, in the 80s. So AVO Technologies is a great company, and Jim Oliver is still very much involved with the incubation program. Big Boom Design is a web design company. Boomer Sassman, he still contributes. He provides a number of seminars geared toward web development and social media. We have Golden Needle, which started here, and Plum Print, which is a recent graduate that has moved to the Hatch Incubator downtown. So we're very proud of those folks. And we're very proud of our relationships that we have with other entities, including Blue Ridge Food Ventures. But if you have any questions for me, my contact number here is listed. I'm Duane Adams, Associate Director of the Small Business Center at AB Tech Enka. Duane C. Adams at abtech.edu. Duane is D-U-A-N-E. Phone number 828-398-7951. And if you're interested in more information about AB Tech and the Small Business Center, go online to www.abtech.edu/SBC. I'm going to turn it over to my friends at Blue Ridge Food Ventures.
Thank you, Duane. That was wonderful. Everybody bear with us a minute. We're all in different cities, so it takes just a little while for me to get everybody set up as we move through. Listen, I am handing some control over to you. And you can unpause your webcam for your introduction anytime you are ready, and make sure you're unmuted.
Let's play. Good. Here we go. Hey, good morning. Am I live, Emily?
You are good to go.
Hello. Good, great.
You're good to go.
Good morning. My name is Smithson Mills, and I'm the Executive Director for Blue Ridge Food Ventures, and I'm here also with Michael McDonald, who is our Client Services Manager at Blue Ridge Food Ventures, and we wanted to give you a brief background and overview of who we are and sort of how we were developed and how we interact with the AB Tech Small Business Center. This shot here is a wing of the AB Tech Enka campus that is approximately 11,500 square feet. This facility was the former textile mill of American Enka plant. It was their R&D facility that was given to the community college in 1999. In 2001, the North Carolina Department of Agriculture, for whom I was employed and working at that time, entered into a collaboration with Regional Economic Development Group as well as AB Tech to establish Blue Ridge Food Ventures. We are probably the largest shared use food processing center in the southeastern part of the United States, certainly in terms of the number of clients and the economic output value. That didn't happen overnight. It took about 12 years to get to where we are today. Emily, I don't have any, the cam is off for me, so I guess I'm just going to talk and go over the photographs. So,
yeah, that's wonderful.
Next slide. All of our kitchens, and we have, of the 11,500 square feet, we have approximately 3,000 square feet of actual kitchen production space. That is in 4 different rooms, 2 1,000 square foot rooms, 1 700 square foot bottling line, and 1 multi-purpose small room that also provides space for dehydrators and fermentation activities. Food processing is a highly regulated industry, and it is becoming more so with the implementation of the Food Safety Modernization Act. We spend a lot of time focusing on sanitation and good manufacturing practices to ensure that the products being manufactured here are safe and wholesome for public consumption. That is our primary purpose as the managers of the facility, but our clients range from the very, very small folks like food truck operators to much larger companies that are sort of what I call the mini gazelles of the food industry around here, people like Roots Hummus, No Evil Foods, Smiling Hara, Tempeh, who are accessing larger grocery store chains and are shipping out by the pallet load or even sometimes perhaps by the truckload. All of our clients must adhere to food safety regulations, whether it be at the local level or the state level or the federal level. So we have lots of signs around our facility telling people that they are in a food safety zone and they need to pay a lot of attention to food safety, because one bad incident could certainly sink a company and could probably sink our entire program. This is a shot of our main kitchen. We call it the wet kitchen. This is a 1,000 square foot facility. As you can, a room, you can see in the back that we have a fan hood system that stretches the length of the room about 32 feet. We have a lot of different equipment underneath the hoods. I think if you acquired everything that we have in here, we would you'd be looking at probably $1 million in equipment acquisition. Obviously, we've had some of this for a long time. A lot of it's been depreciated. This is an interesting photograph in that we have a client who is one of the larger growers of the hottest peppers in the world in western North Carolina. He grows about 7 to 10 acres of ghost peppers and other very, very hot peppers, all of which is cooked at Blue Ridge Food Ventures, whether it is processed for finished hot sauce that's sold at retail or intermediate processing for selling to other hot sauce manufacturers. When the guys come in and process this, the entire facility is heavy in capsaicin. So your eyes will water and you will sneeze until you get comfortable with what they're doing. This guy on the left is wearing a ventilator, a respirator, so that he can actually breathe while he's processing those hot peppers. Next slide. In another room, we have a bottling line. Almost everything that is jarred or hot filled in the facility goes through this bottling line. We can put probably, I don't know, Mike, how many can we put through there in about an hour?
Depending on the size of the fill, up to 600.
About 600 units can go down that bottling line for filling and for labeling and tamper band sealing. And then at the end, people put them into cartons and they're shipped out. As far as I can tell, Blue Ridge Food Ventures in the last 12 months has been the home of manufacturing for about $3.5 million worth of product as sold by our clients. Most of that is wholesale. At the retail value, we're probably close to $5 to $6 million in retail value of product that's manufactured and sold by our clients here. In a given year, we have about anywhere from 50 to 70 different businesses using our facility. Some of those people come in on a very occasional basis. They might come in to make apple pies. They're going to sell at a festival once a year, or they may be someone who comes in every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday and uses one of our kitchens for 10 hours a day. We try to accommodate everyone who wants to make a food product here. However, we do have certain baseline requirements for people to come in and manufacture. One of the first things we ask people when they come in and say they want to make something is whether or not we ask them whether or not they have a business plan. If they don't have a business plan, we don't turn them away automatically, but we highly encourage them to go see Duane and work on a business plan through the Small Business Center. And a lot of folks do take that advice, and almost universally they're happy that they did once they've done it. We also have other intake requirements in order to have people come in, because we don't want folks to go into business when they're not adequately prepared, because their chances of failure go up dramatically if they don't have certain baselines in place. And I'm going to let Mike talk briefly about how he handles the intake process for folks that want to come in and use the facility.
Sure. Most of these conversations about coming in to use Blue Ridge Food Ventures start with either an email or phone call. That's usually the best way to start to determine where the client is in production of their product. Are they at the idea stage, or are they already selling at retail and wholesale, but have experienced an uptick in demand and need increased processing capacity? In that initial contact, we talk about where they are with respect to their product and their business. And if it's something that makes sense for Blue Ridge Food Ventures to help them out with, and the time and the money works out, then we start in the contract. We get send documents out like fee schedules and checklists to make sure that they've got everything that they need in terms of regulatory or certifications or insurance requirements. So every client that comes through the door as a shared use client, which is clients who are coming in and making their own products, is paying a $225 access fee. That includes the application contract, security deposit, cleaning deposit, and any sort of sanitary operating procedure or equipment training that they might need. That also, another requirement there is that they carry a $2 million product liability insurance policy that names Blue Ridge Food Ventures as the additional insured. Now, like Smithson was mentioning earlier, we do all the way from a food cart to someone doing multiple millions of dollars worth of sales. Food carts are a little bit different. The intake for them is only $75. It will go up to $225 if they need access to the kitchen, but often we're serving people who just need to dump their gray water and refill fresh water. That's a $75 access fee with a $50 per month. The second tier there is $125 a month with some storage. That goes up to a third tier, $400 a month. That includes an hour's worth of production in any given day, or 30 hours in a month. Other things that we need to see from caterers and food trucks would be a county health department permit, and then some sort of food safety training certificate, such as the fundamentals of food safety that you saw was available next door, or something like Serve Safe to make sure that the food that's going out to the immediate end consumer is wholesome. Shared use clients are paying $30 an hour for access to the kitchens for the first 35 hours in a calendar month. From 36 to 80 hours, that goes down to $24 an hour, and anything over 80 hours in a month goes down to $20 an hour. The inclusive in there is also $2.50 per person per production supply fee. It includes things like hairnets, aprons, and all the cleaning chemicals that you would need to bring the kitchen back up to par. We do have a small labor-assisted production line as well, with a 4-person crew that can help assist folks who have a product that is in the market already but has experienced an uptick in demand. We start out with a customer information sheet and non-disclosure agreements. People can feel comfortable sharing their formulations with us. We'd have them come in for a product test day at about $350 for that 8-hour run to determine what sort of price per unit we can achieve. And once those prices are quoted, then we can move into production with an estimated minimum between 2,000 and 3,000 units per run.
And as Mike alluded to, that we do charge for our services. We're not fortunate enough to have state appropriations to support us. I'm very thankful that the Small Business Center is able to provide gratis services. We are a small and scrappy nonprofit organization, and we struggle to make ends meet through earned revenues. I'm glad to say that this year we are above break even, probably for the first time in the last 12 years of operations. And the decision to have firm pricing policies and to make clients understand that they do have to pay to use the facility is absolutely essential for our survival. So that's one reason we do it. Another reason that we do it is that if people don't pay for things, they don't tend to value what they're getting. And so we're very lucky to have people who come in, they're paying $30 an hour, but we help them figure out ways where they can manufacture, say, $250 to $500 worth of product every hour in the facility. So it seems to work for people who are serious about manufacturing a product that they can sell into the marketplace. This is really not a facility that is equipped to accommodate hobbyists. We really encourage people who want to just maybe play around, to maybe work at home a little bit, maybe go and visit other places on the campus that can help them with just initial stage formulation. But we make it clear that folks who come in here should be very interested in making money off of selling what they produce here. Let's go to the next slide. When you come into Blue Ridge Food Ventures, you will see a shelf that displays a lot of the products that are either currently manufactured here or have been manufactured here in the last several years. We have a cohort of graduates who have outgrown the facility. We encourage people who are growing quickly to access new locations and move out. We've had about 6 or 7 solid graduates over the last several years, and the last time I talked to them, I figured that they were actually putting out around $6.5 million to $7 million worth of product per year into the marketplace, and that is over and above what we're manufacturing right here. Job creation from those companies is probably in the 50-person range over the course of their development. So that is really the bottom line for us as far as our mission to create jobs and economic opportunity, is those graduates who are able to go out and grow, and also supporting the small businesses that may be working on a seasonal or part-time basis and helping them succeed while working here at Blue Ridge Food Ventures. And with that, we welcome any questions or comments that you have. If you need to contact us, you can find us on the web at blueridgefoodventures.org. And Michael is our client services manager. If you have clients who might like to use our services, please send them to Michael, and we would be very happy to talk to any of your clients. And we do provide technical assistance to people all over the state of North Carolina. We probably get, I would say, between 10 and 15 calls or emails a week from people that we haven't heard from before, asking for simple questions like, how do I determine pH level? How do I get a scheduled process from NC State University's Food Science Department? To how do I get a business license? So we provide a lot of pro bono telephone and email consultation, and so our service expands beyond just the immediate Asheville area, and we're glad to help any of you who are interested in providing food business support services at your community colleges. And with that, I think we're ready to turn it over to Eric Hallman.
Excellent. Thank you, Smithson. Folks, I apologize. We are working on the chat function, but if you are able to ask questions instead, I can at least keep checking those and putting them in. Eric, before we move on to you, I wanted to direct a question that came in to Duane about the other incubator called Hatch, and whether that one was affiliated with AB Tech or not. Duane, do you mind answering that one real quickly?
Hatch is not, I hope you all can hear me, but Hatch is not affiliated with AB Tech. Hatch is actually a newer incubator. It's located here in downtown Asheville. They're more adapt to helping folks who are a little bit further along, probably I'd say mid-level type businesses. Again, they probably, I would probably say that they cater to more the high growth type businesses. Also those who are in information technology, so they're better suited for that purpose.
Thank you, Duane. That's great. All right, Eric, you can turn your webcam and voice on, and you are good to go.
All right. Hi everyone. I appreciate being here with everybody else, and jealous of what Duane and Smithson and Mike have developed in the support network that they have built around that. Behind me, you'll see my entire staff here at the prep station. I'll step away. You can see the blank wall. It's just me. We are formerly known as the Piedmont Food and Agricultural Processing Center. We've been around about 6 years. In fact, Smithson did the feasibility study for this facility. And we are changing our name. It's not official yet, but you're getting the first news that we're going to be called the Prep Station. And for reasons that I can get into later, that we are really not an agricultural processing center. So we're in Hillsborough, North Carolina. We started out as a joint venture between Orange County, Durham County, Chatham, and Alamance counties. About 4 years ago, because of the political winds, Orange County insisted that we spin out as a standalone nonprofit, which we did. We went through a little bit of a crisis for various reasons. There was a change in leadership. I've been here about 1.5 years. Since that time, I think with just the growth and interest in food and ag businesses, Orange County has really stepped up and been very supportive. Durham County, likewise, Chatham and Alamance have all expressed an interest coming back in. And we're looking at a more regional participation, talking to the surrounding counties, certainly Wake County, Person County, other counties are wanting to join in. So we're getting a lot more interest in what we're doing here, and I can talk a little bit more about that. I've had a great relationship working with Mike Ortosky, who is a full-time ag and food economic developer in Orange County's Economic Development Office. But just a little bit more about the prep station, and I'm still getting used to calling it that. And I'm not able to move the slides forward, Emily. There we go. And back. Can we go back? Back. I am going forward.
Hang on just a second, Eric. Stop moving your mouse.
Okay. Take over. Yes, thank you.
How's that?
There we go.
Is that better?
The prep station. So it's not too dissimilar from what Smithson and Mike described, although we have a slightly different focus. So we're about 10,000 square feet. We have 4 different kitchens, freezers, coolers, dry storage area, some office capability up front. This is our wet kitchen, the most heavily used kitchen that we have. We have a kitchen that's more dedicated to baking, and then we have a general purpose room, and then there's a room that I have leased out full time to one of our companies. So we currently have 50 clients. Of those 50 clients, we have about 8 or 9 food trucks and about 8 or 9 caterers, and the remainder are manufacturers. Our focus is more on the manufacturers, but being in an urban setting like this, and with the shortage of commissaries for food trucks and caterers, we get a lot of interest in food trucks and caterers. So we try to accommodate them, but my major focus is on manufacturing. What I think what our example will be for you is how not to do it. Despite what Smithson told me when we came on board, I've made some of the mistakes that I can share with you. So one thing is that one of the problems that we've had is when I came on board, we only had 20 clients, and now we have 50. And to increase the number of clients, I kind of opened the door and said, anybody that's got a food idea, come on board, we'll get you started. So to that effect, we now have, of our 50 clients, about half of them have been in business less than 6 months, and many of those are really not ready to start. The other issue I have is there was not any kind of building a continual client base, so we have this kind of missed a generation of clients that could come in behind the ones that have left. So I've lost a lot of the more stable clients, and so it's kind of like we're starting new. in that a lot of the clients don't have a lot of experience. When I first got here, the older clients were around. We had a great community of people helping each other out. But a lot of those clients have moved on or burned out, and that's something I'd want to mention. If we're talking about business development, it's the things that I find that I'm struggling with are the vetting process for letting new clients in and making sure they're ready to start a business. The 3 to 4 year point where these companies haven't planned for success, and most of them are burning out and shutting down instead of selling or figuring out what to do next. And the third thing is graduating. Where do they go to? What do they? There's not facilities for these companies to move into easily, and I think that's also a barrier for successful food companies. So I'm not following my slides, but let me go back to the slides here and just show you the next slide shows you the area we draw from. And if I could move that slide, Emily, are you controlling the mouse still, or am I? We're drawing where clients come. So we're in Hillsborough, and our clients come from as far away as Winston-Salem on the west side to Fayetteville on the east side. We pull from a broad region just because there's no other resources close by to do this. And I have a slide somewhere of some of our graduates. We've always kind of had two anchor clients that have been here. We have had Luna Pops that makes a handcrafted popsicle, but they just sold and moved to Charlotte. And then our other anchor is relatively new. It's called Seal the Seasons. 23-year-olds just out of UNC Chapel Hill started a company to flash freeze local North Carolina produce. So they've installed, I leased that room to them in the back for 3 years. They've installed an IQF line, an individual quick frozen line, and just got through strawberry season last week where they flash froze 50,000 pounds of strawberries. They are now in over 800 grocery stores and expanding their model to other states. So they are my high growth company, and they have done really well. But more typically, it's the company that I tell people that my issue, where I come from a biotech entrepreneur background, and what I see with the food business, first of all, is why would anybody want to start one? But the other thing is that it's the barrier to start a company appears to me at least, very low. Somebody can, somebody's making granola in their kitchen, everybody goes, oh, you need to make this for everybody. And they can get in the kitchen like ours, they can start making granola, and then the reality hits. And they have to start thinking about who their market is, what their food costs are, all these, the regulatory requirements. And that's where, as the only person here, I have real challenges with providing them the support they need to grow their business. I've had a great relationship with Durham Community College. We do a 2-day seminar every year. Well, this will be the 3rd year of how to start a food business. I've reestablished a relationship with the local chapter of SCORE, the Service Corps of Retired Executives. I've got great support from people like Emily and Cephs and the folks at State, and try to tap into the business schools here. But still, it's kind of a unique thing, and finding the skills to help these people is a challenge. The other thing I want to mention is those companies that have been here 3 to 4 years, and those are the ones that I came in and they seemed like they were successful, and then watching over the year I've been here and seeing them just close up shop because they're burned out has been one of the most difficult things. And it's usually a woman-owned company. They've got family pressures, they've grown the company, they've established a brand, they've got clients, they're, by all measure, they're successful. And then they get to a point where they just said, I am so burned out, I can't do it anymore. And I could 8 or 9 companies in the last year that I've seen do that actually just shut down. Instead of, I'm trying to work with them now and bring the resources in to help these people when they start the company plan for, it may never happen, but packaging the company so that it's ready to sell. So that what I've seen with the companies that have just shut down is they're so burned out, to put a package together to sell the company is just so much more work that they're not willing to invest or can invest. So they've shut the company down. So that's an area that I really need help with. And then the final thing I'll mention is that, and I'm fortunate that working with Orange County is working at where do these people graduate into. So working with Mike Rotosky, the economic developer at Orange County, and working with the surrounding counties, and now even Wake County, is talking about a regional initiative to build a food and ag economy and build those places they can graduate into. Ideally, we'd like to build a 100,000 square foot building in a public-private partnership that would house freezers and coolers, cross-docking capability, 1,500 to 2,500 square foot pods. And I'm convinced, and certainly talking to Smithson and what they've done there, is that you also need to provide those contract manufacturing capability, the co-packing capability, a bottling line, an IQF line, something like that, so these companies can focus on growing the company and not focus on the production side and have that contracted out. So those are the three challenges that I tell people I've got great judgment now, because judgment comes from experience and experience comes from a bad judgment. So over the last year, I've made enough bad judgments that now I have the experience to, I think, kind of know where we need to go from here. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. I apologize. Your slide moving was not working, but I think we fixed it. A little bit late, but better late than never. Probably this is going to be tricky, but I'm going to do my best. If you presenters would like to turn your webcams back on, and if you guys have questions that you want to ask these panelists, you can do them by asking a question to me, because I cannot seem to figure out why you are not being allowed to do that, and I greatly apologize for that. Before we jump into questions, I just wanted to go ahead and plug a couple of upcoming webinars that will be in the series. June the 20th, we'll be doing one with a Durham attorney on heirs, property, and succession planning, which is a particularly complicated issue for farmers and landowners in eastern North Carolina, but also folks who are on tribal areas. And then July 18th, we will have a program to talk about some of the folks who are doing agribusiness entrepreneurship programs in the state with their community colleges and cooperative extension agencies. And then August 10th, there's a new crowdfunding law in North Carolina you may be familiar with, you may not. The Secretary of State's office is going to do a webinar on that new crowdfunding law. It basically allows small businesses to raise funds legally online through crowdfunding sites. And in other states, there's 36 other states who have this law, and about 75% of the folks who take advantage of it are food and farm businesses, which are traditionally places where it's difficult to raise capital for particular projects. So that one should be a good way to get a handle on some of the newer funding structures that small businesses will have access to. You can see a couple of other ones coming up. I'll keep you guys posted. And before we jump to questions, I also would like to just let you know that we will send you out the YouTube link and a PDF copy of this after this is over, and it will also have the contact information for all your panelists in there. Okay, so I think the only question that I've got in the chat box right now is from Nick, and he was curious about sort of the grant funding to start at Blue Ridge Food Venture, what grants were received and if they recur. And I think that might be a good one actually for both Eric and Smithson to discuss. What kind of funding got you started, and sort of what are the funding challenges with starting these businesses, business incubators in the first place?
Sure. Blue Ridge Food Ventures opened at opening day. The program had raised about $1.2 million. Most of that went to facility upgrades. We basically renovated this entire 11,500 square foot space. I think we put close to $500,000 in fixed asset improvements before opening day, and acquired somewhere in the neighborhood of $300,000 or $400,000 worth of equipment before opening day, and the rest of it was for salaries and project development. Since opening in 2005, the program has raised approximately $1 million in form of grants. The funding agencies range from the Community Foundation of Western North Carolina, the City of Asheville, progressing up to larger state agencies. Z. Smith Reynolds donated a little bit at the beginning. The North Carolina Golden Leaf Foundation was our single largest early funding mover, close to $500,000 from Golden Leaf in the early days. The North Carolina Tobacco Trust Fund has been very generous over the course of the years with specialized programming funding. And the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Appalachian Regional Commission have also been strong supporters over the years. That said, we are now very much focused on operational self-sustainability. We are within, I would say, in a given month, we are plus or minus 10% to the red or the black. And I think we're going to finish this this fiscal year, which ends on June 30th, right around operationally break even with total earned revenues of somewhere in the neighborhood of $350,000. And the larger your operations get, the more expensive the operations are. So we have more salary. We have 2 salaried employees. We have 8 part-time employees, and I work as a contractor, as the executive director at this time. So yeah, we've used a lot of grant money to get where we are today, and our operational business plan is to become less dependent upon grant funding going forward.
Emily, I think I could add a little bit to that. I mean, our sources of grant funding were similar to what Smithson described, and he was involved at that in the early stages. I've only been here a year and a half. Since that time, I think there have just been maybe some minor grants, especially crop grants that funded a couple of new pieces of equipment, but we haven't really pursued grants until the last year. And I think we've been successful in a couple of those. We're waiting to hear imminently in the next week or two about a USDA grant. But most of it has been self-supported. We do get rent forgiveness from Orange County, which is key, but no other financial support from the other counties at this point.
Great, thank you guys. I am pulling up another question right now that's coming in from Nick. This is a good one. You guys can talk a little bit maybe about why meat processing is not typically a service offered in these facilities, and what kind of special provisions there are for these.
Sure. Eric, do you mind if I go first?
Please. You can take the whole question.
Okay, so meat processing for wholesale comes under a different regulatory environment than other types of non-meat food processing. Non-meat food processing here at Blue Ridge Food Ventures is largely governed by the Food and Drug Administration sanitary laws. Meat processing is governed by the USDA Food Safety Inspection Service. That is a very, very, very high level of inspection. And the USDA folks do not like meat processing in shared use facilities. They want one ledger holder for USDA processing in one facility. It is not impossible to do some limited meat processing, but from a regulatory standpoint, it is extremely burdensome both for us and for any client that would like to do it. And so we don't have the ability to accommodate that. Caterers who are serving food on a hot meal basis can prepare meats here. So we don't have a problem with that. But for wholesale distribution of meats, that is not something that we can accommodate at this time.
Yeah, I can't add anything to that other than we get that question constantly. The caterers can do it all day long if you're delivering direct to the consumer, but as soon as you put it in a package to wholesale it, it becomes a USDA issue. And like Smithson said, it's just an onerous process for us to accommodate that. It's unfortunate because some of these smaller vendors have a great product that the rules don't quite fit them anywhere.
Thank you, guys. That was a really important one. Good question, Nick. I have one more for Duane, which is about what you would recommend if these folks are affiliated with small business centers or with other public agencies and are not attached to incubators. What's the best way for them to work on that? Looking at existing facilities, trying to start their own, how complicated is it? Maybe you can touch on a couple of those things.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's most important when folks are starting out is to really work on the business model and to try to do some types of feasibility assessments to make sure that they have a viable product or service. One of the things that I try to recommend that folks do is look for, and it doesn't matter if you're here in Asheville where there's an incubation program or if you're somewhere else in another part of the country. I think you need to look at other areas of the country to find folks who are doing like businesses, who can provide some sort of mentorship, and when I say mentorship, I'm talking about folks who have actually traveled that same path or a very similar path that can kind of help you hedge your bets when you're going out and looking at taking on certain types of risks. So I think that's very important. Business planning is very important, but I'm someone who believes that sometimes folks can be intimidated by a formal business plan, so there are different tools that SBCs have to accomplish that same goal with the business plan and those sorts of things. So the incubators, in my opinion, are very good for people to get a very good way for people to get a grasp of how to produce and how to shore up that business model to mitigate their risk as much as possible. But proper planning, being proactive, looking for mentors in different parts of the country. We have a very open world now. As you can see, we're here on the internet talking to a live audience. We couldn't do this, 20 years ago. So everything is very transparent and information is readily available. So that's what I recommend.
Emily, could I add something to that, please?
Yes, absolutely.
I've done a number of feasibility studies over the years, probably 15 to 20 since we launched Blue Ridge Food Ventures. And the critical components for success are a measured demand from the entrepreneurial community. A lot of folks want to try to do this in areas where there isn't a strong, vibrant entrepreneurial base, and that can make it much, much harder. Another criteria for success is institutional capacity. There needs to be an organization that's willing to champion a project like this. It may be the small business center, maybe a community college. It could be any number of agencies, but it has to be a full commitment. You can't just sort of dip your toe in the water on doing something like this. When you're in, and it's a big job. So I would caution people against falling in love with a program like this for your community without doing a lot of advanced research and a lot of feasibility analysis.
Good point, Smithson. Thank you. I was going to say that if you didn't, actually, so I'm glad you did. And we had one more, actually we've got two more questions. I put one in the chat box. Where are clients at food manufacturing facilities getting their startup funding, and are there programs specifically designed to help these types of businesses? Any of you can answer that, and I'm going to put a link in there to a financing guide as well.
I'll start. So Orange County they years ago passed a 1-cent sales tax for economic development, and part of that was for a small business grant and loan program. A lot of our clients have gotten that if they're Orange County businesses, while we haven't gotten a lot of grants, our Seal the Seasons, those young guys that are flash freezing food, have become masterful at getting grant funding. But the rest of the folks, I think it's part of the vetting process that Smithson talked about and that I need to get better at is making sure that those people are ready to start before they start writing personal checks for their businesses. I'm anxious to learn more about the crowdfunding sources that are out there, but I think it's everybody. They're writing personal checks to get them started, in my experience.
Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of business development services that might also include small loans for people to get started. The Mountain BizWorks program, I think if you go through their 8-week business development program, you're eligible for a loan. I don't know what the max amount is, but I know a lot of people who go through their program when they complete that training program, they do take out loans. Some of our more successful wholesale manufacturers have been able to get very favorable loans from their supermarkets that they're selling to, particularly Whole Foods Southeast. Up until recently, and I don't know what the status is right now, was able to extend up to $100,000 in loans to suppliers and vendors that they're working with. So we have had probably 3 or 4 that have been able to take advantage of that. So there are a lot of different opportunities. Self-help credit unions, another. Duane probably knows about a lot of those that people can tap as well.
One of the things that I really try to focus on with clients who are initially getting started is I'm really big on bootstrapping. I always say bootstrap as much as possible. Let's figure out what your minimum viable product is. Let's not start out with 20 SKUs. Let's start out with one that's going to be a signature item, and let's see if we can sell it in a very simple way. Once people accomplish that and we're able to identify some issues and shore up those, fill those gaps in, then I think they're ready to work on a business model, devise a business plan, and then go for funding. I think that's very important because I think a lot of folks are trying to get money too early. And I think one of the best ways to qualify yourself for funds is sell. So you have to be able to show that you can sell something. That makes anybody who's going to be lending you money feel a lot more comfortable. So I think that is very important. Smithson Mountain BizWorks, they have a great program. The Bird's Eye program, I think it is the name of it, and it's a great program, and I love it when clients come in because those folks have already done some research and done some homework, and they already understand what the business model is going to look like. So that's a great resource. I mentioned in my part of the presentation the Carolina Small Business Development Fund. That's also another great research, another micro lender here in the area. They have a number of programs. Some are geared towards women-owned businesses. They have some veteran programs that are available, so that's another great resource. And they're able to give you a little bit more flexibility along with Mountain BizWorks in terms of lending. So they'll work with you on building your personal credit. They also have specific programs that are business related on the technical side that can help you move forward as well.
Thank you, Duane. I put a link over on the chat box to everyone that contains links to almost all of those financing resources that were mentioned, as well as a couple of other ones. And we've got time for this last question, and then we're going to wrap it up. This is a good one also. Is contract co-packing a viable way for these facilities to raise operating funds? And I'll let either of you take that on, Smithson or Eric.
I'm looking at Smithson. I'm going to follow his advice on this. We're considering that.
Sure. About 2 years ago, our previous executive director began seriously looking at contract manufacturing services for people who could not readily access our kitchens or maybe didn't have their own labor force. And that was a brilliant idea. It has evolved from that point to we don't like to use the word co-packing because co-packing traditionally is where you contract with somebody to manufacture your product in its entirety. They handle all of the bottles and the labeling and the formulation and the packaging, and then they sell the product to the client who's going to go out and wholesale it. We do something that is much more akin to what's called toll processing, in that those clients who are using our labor are still responsible for supplying us with the bottles, the ingredients, the labels, the caps, the boxes that they go into. So we never take possession of the product. We simply provide the labor services for assembling the product, if you will. We also allow the clients to come into the kitchen while we're manufacturing, and they can see what we're doing, and they can see that we're using their process. So it's a little bit different from real co-packing. We call it labor-assisted production. But the second question to that is, yes, it is a revenue generator for us. We probably have about, I think when all the expenses are said and done, we're probably seeing around a 20% revenue margin over operational costs for that. So if we do $200,000 in labor-assisted production, we might be bringing in $40,000 in free cash flow. I'd like to see that go up a little bit because it's a lot of work to generate that much money, or that relatively small amount of money. But yes, it's a good revenue generator, but it's also a needed service for people such as one of our clients is a single mother with a disabled child. She has some health issues herself. She has a really successful business, but she does not have the labor capacity to make her product. So we're able to help her continue and even grow her business, and I don't think she could even do that unless she was using those services. So it's also part of the core mission of business incubation.
I just add that this is kind of blue sky. So we started talking to Wake County, who was a little behind the curve on shared kitchen space because they interpreted the rules that it didn't allow them to do that. But now they're trying to catch up. And we've talked to them about, if we're looking at this as a regional resource, don't duplicate what we have here. So if we have an IQF line, an individual quick frozen line, maybe they put in a dry fill line or something like that so that it becomes a regional effort instead of a competitive effort.
Thank you. All right, folks. We will follow up with an email for all of y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to personally thank Duane and Smithson and Mike and Eric for being here this morning and coming through on some last-minute extensions of their talks to make this happen. So thank you guys so much for working with us on this, and we will look forward to seeing everybody next time we have our webinars, which will be June 20th. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.